Logo: Public Interest Advocacy Centre.
What PIAC is about is making change for the lives of both the people we work with and the broader community.
When you take on a case such as this, there's a huge power imbalance between yourself and the large corporation that you're taking on.
Text: Empowerment.
Inspiring to be around so many passionate and hardworking people, and this is what I want to do with my life.
Text: Accountability.
Everyone, yes, has to be held accountable for their actions. Police are no different.
Text: Solutions.
PIAC provides the staff, the resources, and make it possible to run these sorts of complaints.
Working here at PIAC has changed my life, literally.
To try to make a fairer society where people aren't excluded, where people aren't marginalised and where people get fairness and justice.
Text: Transparency.
This is an organisation that really believes in our system, but wants to make it work and to make it transparent. And I think that's a very good thing for the rule of law and for democracy.
Text: Last year, PIAC ran 148 cases on behalf of 129 individuals and organisations. Text: Graham Innes, AM, former Disability Discrimination Commissioner.
About 4 years ago, the Commonwealth Bank introduced Albert terminals, which were available at various places of business, restaurants, cafes, anywhere else you wanted to buy goods. The difference between those terminals and the standard EFTPOS terminal is that if I wanted to enter my PIN number, which of course you have to do, I could do so by pressing buttons. The Albert terminal only has a touch screen.
Text: Footage courtesy of ABC 730.
So I was aware that it was going to be a difficult case to run and a lengthy case. I also knew that it was really important, not just for me, but for people who are blind or vision impaired throughout Australia. We're due to have a mediation of the matter very soon.
Text: Jonathan Hunya, PIAC CEO.
We want to see a commitment by the bank to work with people with disability so that they're not excluded in emerging technologies, which can be a great thing, but they need to include everyone.
Text: Each year, PIAC's Homeless Persons Legal Service helps around 700 people at over 1,300 advice sessions.
I've been a part of Street Care for the past 18 months. The idea behind it is that people with a lived experience are in the best position to come up with solutions to homelessness.
Text: Maddie Humphreys, PIAC Street Care Project Officer.
So what we see a lot of in the homelessness sector is people in positions of authority who, with all the best intentions, come up with what they think is a good policy to provide solutions, but they have no experience of what that policy actually means and what the outcomes of that policy actually are for people who are experiencing it. So what kind of services do you think that you have needed and you haven't been able to access?
Better housing for people that are homeless, especially when they've got little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. I'm lucky I'm in the place that I've got at the moment, because otherwise we'd be in a refuge where there's a curtain in between us.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's like I've got a little girl there, right?
Yeah.
It's like you don't sleep, because you're always making sure that she's okay.
What is your ideal kind of scenario for you and your daughter in terms of your future housing?
Have her own backyard.
Yeah.
Her own room.
Yeah.
Her own things in her room.
Yeah.
Text: Holding police accountable. Text: Camilla Pandolfini, PIAC Senior Solicitor.
In 2017, I co-authored a report on the Suspect Targeting Management Plan, or the STMP, a secret New South Wales police policy. The STMP involves heavy-handed policing that disproportionately impacts young Aboriginal people, some as young as 9. PIAC brought a case on behalf of Lee Leslie and her family after Lee came to us regarding continued harassment by New South Wales Police.
I got a job with Walgett Aboriginal Medical Service in 2013 and we moved back to Walgett at that time. My grandson found employment at the local school, which was great.
Text: Lee Leslie, PIAC client.
His self-esteem was great. Everything was going fine for us. And then all of a sudden it started to fall apart for my grandson when the police continually harassed him in the street while he was doing his work. And we had no idea why.
The thing about the STMP is that it doesn't have a legislative base.
Text: Anna Dawson, PIAC Senior Solicitor, Indigenous Justice Project.
If you're put on the list, you don't know you're put on it. There's no way of knowing that you're on it. And conversely, there's no way to get off it.
On one occasion, when Michael was stopped in the street, they pepper sprayed him. When I was driving up there, they moved him off the gutter where they originally pepper sprayed him and took him to a house across the road and attempted to use a garden hose on his face. The garden hose had been sitting there for most of the day and was boiling hot, so they were actually trying to rinse away the pepper spray with boiling hot water. That's how extreme the harassment was. It's morally wrong. If they're representing law and order, then they need to represent law and order. Got to be accountable for the things that they do and say. The sad thing about this is that all the money, all the effort that goes into closing the gap is effectively destroyed by the STMP.
Text. Working to bring about systemic change. Text. Footage courtesy of ABC 730.
The case over the Albert terminals against the Commonwealth Bank has now been settled. The bank has agreed to make changes to the machines, including rolling out new software to enhance accessibility for vision impaired people.
After about 4 years, the matter with the Commonwealth Bank has been resolved, and the bank have agreed to abide by the accessibility principles recently passed by the Australian Banking Association, and to work towards making the Albert terminal more accessible than it currently is. Well, it's really important to have gone through this process, because if this problem is not resolved, more and more touchscreen terminals will become available, and that will mean that blind and vision impaired people throughout Australia will be less and less able to carry out electronic commerce, and we need to do that every day.
The result of this case sends a very strong message to business that they can't leave people out. When they're developing new products, when they're delivering their services, we live in a country where we expect everyone will be included.
Text. PIAC's pro bono partners contribute over $3 million worth of legal services each year.
The thing that I really treasure about working at PIAC is that shared sense of purpose.
Text. Laura Lombardo, PIAC Principal Solicitor.
The people who work here are smart, tenacious, driven. They really care about our clients and are here to make a difference.
Text. The Honourable Michael Kirby, AC, CMG, Justice of the High Court of Australia, 1996 to 2009.
You know, when I was growing up as a young gay man, I knew that I had to keep my head down and not cause too much trouble, and if so, I'd be left alone. And that's the problem. That's why you need an organisation which is sort of counter-establishment, yet using the mechanisms of the establishment, the law, to get people's rights. What's the use of a society if it has all these wonderful rights and no one can get to the law and get to justice? So long live PIAC. If it didn't exist, we'd have to invent it.
Logo, Public Interest Advocacy Centre. Text. Little Story Films. Text. Director, Producer, Camera, Edit, Kelly Stoner. Production Manager, Kiki Dillon. Sound Recordist, Lara Cross. Assistant Editor, Imogen Ross. News footage courtesy of ABC 730.